When you're working with, some founders are not born leaders, right? I mean, that's just a known. They might be great innovators. They might be creating important, disruptive things. But how do you coach, when you're working with a founder, how do you coach someone into great leadership? Like, is it something that can be taught, or is it something that can be learned?
I think it's, first off, I got to figure out what I'm dealing with. Because as you know, Amy, sometimes some entrepreneurs are crazy. All entrepreneurs are crazy. There's a scale. Okay. So they're all crazy, and you are. So then it's how do you mitigate the craziness? Okay. So there are some people that literally should be removed from the team, more visionary, have a great integrator operator, and that way they can go do their things that they love to do. And that, I don't know how Mark Zuckerberg is to work with, but like he brought in Sheryl Sandberg. She really runs Facebook. He gets to go do the acquisitions, the vision stuff. But for me, I always want to figure out what I'm working with in regards to the founder and their kind of like craziness. Because the other mistake they make is they throw hand grenades in their business when things are good. Most entrepreneurs love chaos. So as soon as things are actually repeatable, scalable, and growing, they're like, whoa, let's change our business model. Let's redesign our website. Let's change the whole product strategy. It's like, stop throwing hand grenades in your business and let your team execute. But what I always say is you need to disconnect moment from conversation. So what a lot of reactive entrepreneurs do that is a bad habit is in the moment, they'll react to the situation when what they need to do is write it down, keep it for a little bit, and then use the right moment to then interact with the person to give them the feedback and the coaching. Incredibly hard for certain founders to do. So that would be the first tip. Disconnect the Slack message where you're like, why are they doing that? Don't interact. Don't go crazy. Write it. I have a Google Doc with all my direct reports. And every time I have an idea or I have something that I think they need to get some coaching on, I write it in the document so that when I do my one-on-ones, I say, what are you bringing to the meeting? They bring their list. And then I say, hey, I've got these 3 items I'd love to share with you. So that is probably the most universal strategy that I think will really serve people, because most founders are their craziness factor can cause a lot of churn. They're so driven, but at the same time, they're really hard to work with. Yeah. And if you can just stop being in the moment and don't worry about it. Some people think it's going to like reduce my superpower. Like, that's my superpower. Steve Jobs was a dick. Yeah, he realized it did not scale and changed his approach so that he could create an environment where he could still be critical, but it didn't cause people to want to quit. Like, there's a nuance, and I think an evolution that if you can make the leap. Like, I have always thought, Amy, the gold standard for an entrepreneur is you founded the company, you scaled it, you brought it public, and you're still CEO. Yeah. Those are like, to me, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Buffett, like, that's rarefied air. If you ask me what's the all-star, it's whoever's on that level, because it is so hard for somebody to be self-aware enough to grow, because you have to grow. Like you are not the same person year over year as you make that trajectory.